You fucking serious, WWE? I mean, really? Really? 2 years is long enough. We just gotta get the fuck over it. That's really what you're fucking doing? Triple H really just has taken the fucking mask off. Oh, we're not a political company. Bull fucking shit, mister. I'm gonna be in charge of fitness. I'm gonna make America fit again. You, who can't even goddamn jog or use a fucking microwave or otherwise, your little incident will go absolutely tits fucking up. Yeah, Triple H really did learn from Vince McMahon as far as who he associates with, as far as who he wants to bring back into the fold. And look, maybe, just maybe, the Beast Bork Laser was cleared of all charges. But I don't believe he fucking was. So basically what they do, they said, hey, any victims of anything remotely close to what Vince was being accused of and what John Laurinaitis was being accused of, yeah, you don't fucking matter. We don't fucking care about you or your safety. Any women that come to the goddamn shows that have been victims of that just try to use wrestling as an escape, we don't fucking care about you. We don't fucking care about your goddamn safety because we got your goddamn money. Bitch better have my money. Don't you worry. Say hey. My goddamn goodness, 40 plus years of being a professional wrestling fan, and it is actually monumentally amazing to see just how much bad PR WWE is willing to heap upon themselves. It is unbelievably impressive. It is so astonishing to see the amount of bullshit that they did throughout WrestleMania 41, throughout that whole blitz and that whole build and everything and stuff like that. Acquiring AAA, which, boy, this is going to put a certain bit of damage on that goddamn deal, isn't it? Some of the towns are probably going to be looking like, gee, is it safe to go over there with how the boss runs things? Or, yeah, they're just going to invite a whole bunch of peasants. Maybe they will really bring Del Rio back and a whole bunch of other people because the gloves are off. They don't fucking care any goddamn more. No wrestling company is perfect. New Japan has their issues. And AEW has their problem people. But goddamn, God motherfucking damn, WWE, for all the great talents that they have, you gotta support the wrestlers and not the fucking company because really this new administration is not much better than what Vince had. Just more stupid yes men that are willing to basically just sacrifice their goddamn values, assuming they have any values, to say, yeah, we've arrived, we've got your money, and guess what? You're still gonna watch. Well, based on the reactions I've seen, you might have a whole lot less fans in those arenas and watching, and guess what? It's all your fucking fault. Long-time fans, short-time fans, and this is coming from somebody that was a fan of Brock Lesnar's work, but guess what? He torpedoed the fuck out of that with the plane ride from hell stuff and other stuff that he did. My goddamn goodness, what in the world is this company doing? That's a hell of a way to end a show. Speaking of which, I'm John Rentham with my review, WWE SummerSlam 2025 Night 2. I do not fucking care, by the way, if I piss people off. I really don't fucking care. If you voted for the Orange Blob, if you support Triple H being part of, the White House, cabinet, whatever the fuck it is, good. I fucking hope you get what you voted for, because we're all having to suffer for it, and by we, I mean the intelligent Americans actually knew what the fuck would happen. Yeah, they were in MetLife Stadium once again. They had around 56,000 people, or 57,000, but this time they announced 60,000 people, and a grand total of 113,722. Bull fucking shit. Why is Rosenberg there? He offers nothing. Joe Tessitore welcomes us. And there we go. There we fucking go. Tiger Lily Gold. Apparently they're two sisters, two country sisters. They're two pretty blondes that sing. I mean, they tried to harmonize. Whatever. I still don't know who the fuck Drewski is beyond what people have told me. And it's the fitness guru himself, Triple H, the guy that says the WWE is not a political company. Look, let's just call a spade. Triple H is as much of a liar as Vince is. He's just a liar that books your talents better, so that's why some of you cheer him. I've seen through his, bald facade for a while, and I know something about it being a bald facade. Anyway, they needed more pyro for that. They really needed more pyro. And here's Rhea. My God, Rhea looks amazing. Io got her usual entrance. Naomi had her dad play her to the ring. That was very cool. That was very nice. I was really happy they let the women open this goddamn show because it was all downhill from there afterwards. I'm not the biggest fan of Alicia Taylor's announcing. I find it to be stagey. She's into it. I'll say that much. And there are people to like her, and I don't hate her as a person. I just find a little bit gimmicky. What wasn't gimmicky was this following match. It was sponsored by Drumsticks. That's right. I wrote down the sponsors for at least some of these matches. Rhea and Io trying to take the title from the newly crowned champion, Naomi. And look, this was the best match on the goddamn show. Was it as good as Bianca versus Io versus Rhea at WrestleMania 41 Night 2? No. No, it fucking wasn't. But they really did tear the house down. They really had the crowd rocking and rolling, and the crowd was into it. Naomi hit and ran and was doing good heel stuff. There was a 619 that was flush. Everyone got a chance to shine. And then, basically, we got a Poison Rana. I'm kind of sick of the Poison Ranas regardless of the company. A Powerbomb for 2 after a Razor's Edge. Hey, yo. And we got a moonsault outside to a pop. And then... we got more great action. We got action inside, outside the ring. A full Nelson bomb by Naomi in a cover for 2. A Riptide, that got broken up. And, Cannonball knocked Naomi outside. And then Io hit a powerbomb on Rhea onto Naomi. There is no give on that floor, so credit to all 3 of those ladies for getting back up. Especially Naomi for taking the goddamn bump. And we get a Riptide back in the ring. And 1, 2, and then Naomi manages to pull the tights on Rhea, get a roll-up 1, 2, 3. Good finish. Some called it flat. I didn't mind it because Rhea got cheated out of it. But you know what? Naomi was sneaky. It worked. Give her a little bit of a longer run. And there you are. So... that's it right there. Oh, the Dudleys and the Hardys were there. Where was Edge and Christian? Oh, right. They're still somewhat ambulatory. Bully Ray, by the way, may be one of the least liked people in wrestling for a guy that was 42 years old, being one of the worst TNA world champions at a time when the interest in the company was going down, down, down. But he was a leader of Aces and Eights. So that was good stuff. He really thinks that he is a big goddamn single star when he was lucky to get out of Devon's shadow, because Devon was always the more well-liked one. The Hardys are there. I hope neither of them drove. And we are going to get... by the way, Nick Hogan was there. Nick Hogan once again there to witness a car crash that this time he is not involved in. Shout out to Ian Drew Dice Clay, who is great. The Profits against DIY, against the Morrissey Machine Guns, against Fraxium, against Andrade and Phoenix, against Loomis and Gacy of the Wyatt Six. It's a 6-team, so 12-man, but there were like 3... it was more like a 16 or 17-person match because of all the interference. It was a TLC match for the tag titles. What the fuck do you want me to say? Bunch of table crashes, meaningless shit, 16 minutes of nonsense. The people in the crowd loved it, and a lot of the people on social media loved it. And I'm glad you did. And if you got something out of this, I'm glad. I'm sick of these ladder matches regardless of what company. I'm sick of these multiple person matches that make no goddamn sense. They have some cool spots. Nobody died. Everybody did more stupid shit than they needed to. But I'm sorry, this whole thing has been played out. The Slim Jim tables. And we got more table bumps. A Spanish fly through one table. At one point, Johnny Gargano hit one of, I think it was Gacy, with a DDT through a table. And then Candace showed up, because that's what this fucking needs, is boring-ass Candace and B-Fab. Who says that B-Fab should be allowed in a professional wrestling ring? Have her as a valet. She is not a good worker. I'm not saying she doesn't have value to the company, but good goddamn Christ. Nikki Cross gets involved in this, because again, we need more people. The match ended up just being more about the people that were not in the match than people that were in the match. Candace did go through a table where it looked like she might have shattered her leg or really hurt herself. So I hope she's all right, because that looked... one, it was a stupid bump to take. 2, it looked like a really bad landing. So I hope she's all right. And then Rowan attacks. And then Ciampa basically hangs around David Carradine style, except they're not in Bangkok. And then Uncle Howdy shows up. Well, he was already there. And the Wyatts won. Good for them. I know there are people that like this. I'm sorry, I don't. This was nonsense. And I felt that way before all the bullshit happened in the main event. So, we get last night recaps with music and stuff like that. Becky and Lyra, it's set to a package for a song by Royal Lynn, who I have not heard of, but she's a pretty blonde, so I may have to check out more of her stuff. The song wasn't bad. And then Cole's doing the woo, and Wade's no. I don't know why that interaction made me laugh. New theme for Becky. No, sir, I don't like it. This is sponsored by Papa John's. There's like one good Papa John's in my area, and it's in my town. The other ones I haven't been the biggest fan of. What I was a fan of was a build for this, because I thought Lyra and Becky, based on the clips I saw and based on the fact that Lyra has worked hard, Becky wants to work hard with somebody she cares about. It's a no DQ, no count-out match for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. And if Lyra doesn't win, she can't challenge for the title as long as Becky is champion. Which means Bayley's probably going to end up beating her at some point. And Lyra pulls out a crowbar at one point and says, Wade, I'm going to borrow your crowbar. Good old Crowy. Oh, can't really do the accent at all. It was also how David Flair reacted backstage at late 99 and mid-2000s WCW shows. Good old Crowy. He used to call Devin Storm that, and it got very annoying. So, there was a point where Becky was choking Lyra with a chain. What do I have to do to pay an Irish woman to choke me like that? And torturing the tonsils is what Wade said. It's also what Dennis used to know did. More on that later. And the drop toe hold. He actually was really, really bad at his job, and his practice actually ended up getting taken away. A drop toe hold on the chair, a toolbox hero, and then, oh my god, Lyra zip-tied. Until she wasn't, because it came loose and she had to put him back together. Oh, that's when the match unfortunately started to unravel. And look, despite the fact there's a toolbox, a wrench, and other stuff in this, I was actually okay as long as they didn't break out thumbtacks. They didn't, but we then get Lyra tied back up after she ties herself back up with the zip ties, and they do the Breaking Point 09 Orton and Cena spots where Becky's just hitting her with the cane. Now, stuff was actually working to this point. The problem is the match went 25 minutes when it should have gone about 17. And the zip ties came out, I see nothing. And how do you get rotations with your hands tied together? I mean, I could tell you some stories, but pending issues. So moving on from that, it is actually hard to get rotation while your hands are tied together. Even harder when both your hands are tied together. But goddamn it, if you are flexible enough, you can do it. Anyway, so the zip ties finally come off. I mean, for real. And a Nightwing off the steps. And then there's a buckle spot. Manhandle slam onto some chairs for 2. It was starting to get ridiculous here. There were more chair shots. Bayley then stopped Becky from using, I believe, using a chair. Or using a chain. She stopped her from using a weapon. By this point, I was zoning out. Bayley looked great, by the way. I do want to say that red is definitely her color. And then they kind of had a tight shot on Becky, so Lyra could do a sudden, leg drop through a table outside. That was nice. But after all that, after Lyra got slammed through chairs and, beaten up and dropped outside and choked with a chain and beaten with a Singapore cane, Bayley does a spot where Becky ducks, Lyra gets hit with a goddamn chain fist, and then 1, 2, 3 after a manhandle slam. So yeah, that I mean, I don't mind Becky retaining. I mean, Lyra not winning is not the end of the world, because I think the feud's been fine, but that was kind of flat. It did make her look like an idiot. I'll let you decide which one I'm referring to. But there you go. Bayley versus Becky. If we get a Hell in a Cell match, say in October, I'm all for it. That would be the finale of this feud. Yes, I know it's finale. Work with me here. But we then get Breath Death Sponsor, which, by the way, some of y'all could use, especially at indie shows. They need to start forcing people to wear deodorant and washing their goddamn asses, because we don't need BO and bullshit at wrestling shows. You need to smell clean. And if you smell like ox ass, you need to be called out for it and shamed until you go home and clean yourself like a civilized adult. Speaking of civilized adults, we got to see one in this, Jacob Fatu. He's a reformed adult. He took on Solo in a steel cage match for the U.S. title. I did not care one bit. We got the MFTs involved. Talatonga, a.k.a. Hikuleo, I don't think he's cut out for this. I just don't. We got 2 moonsaults, but just for 2. Jim Uso showed up. This is dragging and taking forever. And I think this match actually was only about maybe 12 minutes. But Talatonga puts some, climbs the cage, gets some cuffs, or has some cuffs in his hands, and cuffs Jacob Fatu's, wrist to the cage. But he busts through that, but the camera misses it. Solo then ends up escaping after a stupid door spot by Jeff Cobb, because JC Mateo is just not a name that rolls off the tongue. And this feud has been rotten. This has done nothing for Jacob Fatu, and this Solo experiment needed to end. It is bad. Then the moonsault off the cage to, I think, Mateo and Tangaloa, or Tangaloa. No, not whatever. I don't care anymore. I don't. There's a reason why I barely watch WWE TV, and why I may not for a bit now, to be perfectly honest. Stop due to the fact, especially on Mondays, I'm going to be busy actually for pretty much the rest of this month. So you likely will not be getting any Raw or SmackDown reviews. AJ Styles versus Dominic in an IC title match. And Styles came out in Eddie's tights and a shirt and a lowrider. One of his sons was there. It was the 05 SummerSlam community. No, that didn't work, but oh well. The crowd cheered them both. It was well wrestled. Dominic kept trying to outsmart AJ. AJ pretended to be hit by a chair at one point, like he was horse-collared with it. Except you can't win the title by DQ, dumbass. And then basically Dominic ended up loosening his boot at one point. And then while the referee was, out of position, Dominic hit AJ with the boot, hit a frog splash. 1, 2, 3. No complaints about the match. Proper finish. Tie into the WrestleMania 20 finish where Eddie had won, but he won with a roll-up in the ropes, but it's fine. And then Angle won at SummerSlam 04. But it's fine. It's fine. Dominic continues his IC title run. This is probably AJ Styles' last SummerSlam. To be honest, he doesn't really need to do anything else. Maybe be an Iron Man in next year's Rumble. Who knows? Did they AI Dusty's voice is what I'm wondering. Oh yeah, and Stephanie's near New York again. Reminder that she actually did the... She actually compared the steroid trials to the deaths of many people in 9/11. And I will not let anybody forget that. You can say a lot of dumb shit when you're young, or when you're old enough to know better, you just say that and think people will forgive you. No, I'm not going to forgive that fake-titted bitch. So, who's just as bad as her dad, by the way. They AI'd Dusty's voice. At least I think they did. I mean, if they didn't, it didn't sound right. Cody comes out in his goofy-ass helmet. Seen as a face again. After interactions recently on SmackDown, because why not? I don't care. This heel turn's been a flop. And it's by American Wheatley Vodka. I felt like drinking at this point in the show. Let me just say that Cody and Cena had a better match than they had at WrestleMania, but they just had to be ambulatory and not involve Travis Scott, who, by the way, should have met the same fate as some people in that Astro World crowd, because he doesn't deserve success because he's a piece of shit and a string bean and a moron. And one thing I didn't note, by the way, in the Becky versus Lyra match is there were people fighting. And apparently that's why. So not only did they pay exorbitant amounts of money for those tickets, but they probably drank too much. And they were fighting, and there were children around. And how embarrassing. And your parents would be ashamed if you knew who your parents fucking were. God damn it. Just looking at the state of all of them, I'd be embarrassed to even admit that I even knew them. So anyway, Cody versus Cena. Street fight for the WWE Championship. Would we get a double turn? I mean, They kind of alluded to it. I'm going to say right now, while this is better than the WrestleMania 41 match, this match went forever and did not need to go as long as it needed to. All Japan tag matches did not have this many kickouts. Actually, they did, but they were earned. Steps in the ring. Cena eventually hurls the steps stupidly at Cody. I thought he might have broke his forearm the way I thought I saw a bone sticking out. That looked kind of painful. Maybe it was just the angle. Cody was more heelish. The crowd was cheering Cena more. In fact, it was like, I'd say 80% Cena, 20% Cody. And I might be generous. We get Cody with a moonsault that Cole called a crossbody because Cole's an idiot. An AA for 2, a cutter for 2, a pile driver. They broke out a pile driver about halfway through the match. And it kept going. They're not calling it the STF, they're calling it the STFU. Okay, they're calling it that. Still can't lock it on, right? And then a mic shot, and Cena hits a code red outside, and they keep going. We get an AA through the table. A top rope leg drop. Cena was busting this stuff out. Good for him. This is the kind of shit that he probably wanted to do in his retirement match, or in his retirement tour. And to be honest, a heel run by Cena wasn't the worst thing in the world. But the thing about Rock is Rock being involved in this might have worked, except nobody wanted to buy into his bullshit. And that's why everybody was pretty much just saying, yeah, we don't really want to fucking see you, and we haven't seen him since. He might show up for the Smashing Machine promotion. I'm going to say right now the Smashing Machine looks absolutely atrocious. But back to the match. We get another AA for 2. Into the crowd. We are 20 minutes in at least at this point. 18 at the least. Or 18 minimum. And we get a guardrail bump, and then they go up through the shaft, and Cena has shafted Cody violently to the point that Cody is limp on his shoulders. Hits an AA, picks him back up, and then just does the walk back to the ring. And we get a crossroads for 2, and then a face chair shot, and then basically Cody ends up taking the bottom rope off, so he's trying to hit him with the spike. They're trying to channel Royal Rumble 2007 with Umanga, as Regal said, but Umaga versus Cena. But they couldn't even do that right. I mean, I'm not even saying they needed the blood. I don't really give a shit. But the fact is they couldn't even do this right. An STFU with the roast, but Cody fights out of that. He hits 3 crossroads, but just for 2. It was getting ridiculous before. It's super ridiculous now. There was Super Cena chance, which was kind of funny. 2 AAs, Super AA just for 2. And then a cutter through the table, a crossroads for 3, a handshake. Thank you, Cena chance. And then here comes Cowboy Bork. And he eventually just wanders around the ring and F5s goddamn Cena, and that's it. And I haven't done this in a while. I'm not saying I will never watch WWE again because AEW just has as many problem people. But the next time you see me talking about WWE, maybe for Clash in Paris, it's going to depend on views, guys, because quite frankly, this return of Brock aside, there have been so many reasons for me not to care about WWE's presentation. They have a lot of great wrestlers. They have arguably one of the deepest rosters they have had of up-and-comers, of people with experience on the UK indies, the Aussie indies, European indies, and the American indies. They got people throughout NXT in their, in their developmental program. They got people that are way up high, but they also have a lot of people that are at least in their upper 30s to over 40 that have maybe 2-3 years left, and they don't have enough people coming up that are going to be ready. So they got that Netflix deal that has a 5-year out clause that probably will be enacted once we get to the beginning of 2030. I can guarantee you this, guys. I'm 44 fucking years old. I will not be reviewing regularly by even the age of 45, 46. And you will be lucky to see me on this platform in any way, shape, or form by the time I hit 47 or 48. Because I'm tired, I'm old, and this company is run by people that hate the children. And it is actually unbelievable watching the amount of bootlicking and dick riding that I am seeing for this company. And by the way, if you're a fan of Brock, you probably are happy he's back. And I'm a fan of his work. But even if these allegations didn't happen, does anybody really need to see Brock Lesnar in a WWE ring at this age? I mean, because what was he, 24 when he won the championship in 2002? 22, 20, 23, 24? Which means he's in his mid-40s. He's a little older than I am. He's just under Cena's age. I think he's around Punk's age, to be perfectly honest. So, you're probably going to see me again for Clash in Paris. Maybe. You might not. I don't know. I got to think about this stuff because I'm pretty upset that this company wants to continue to be tone deaf. They think that fans will just continue to stick with them. They got some upcoming Raws that are going to be in big, big buildings that they have maybe filled to half capacity. So maybe the bubble will burst and maybe things will go south, but then that's going to affect the talents. And I don't want that to affect the talents because there are so many great talents there that I like, that I want to see get paid, that I want to see have success. I don't want anything bad to happen in WWE from a business standpoint, but at this point, we might need to see something bad happen for positive change to happen. And Triple H really should not be booking this shit anymore because he's lazy, he's good for nothing, and quite frankly, everybody seems to have just turned a blind eye. I don't understand it, and a possible heel Cody Rhodes, when Cody has been a fucking heel in my eyes for years, because he's fake and phony, and I don't care what people say. This company is hard to root for. AEW is hard to root for and stuff, but at least AEW gives me a little bit of something, even if it's nonsense on their television. I love wrestling, but I don't like the direction wrestling is going. So I will maybe Clash in Paris. I don't know, guys. I'm debating even doing my favorite matches of the year list, my least favorite matches of the year list. Because wrestling, I think, has finally defeated me. I think it has finally defeated me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rentland. Until we meet again, whenever the fuck that is, I will be posting movie reviews. Lots of movie reviews. So look for those if that you're into that sort of thing. Anyway, but yeah, until we meet again, happy trails to you. Except the MAGA fucks. I hope you all fuck yourselves and fuck your goddamn siblings because it's the only people that will ever love you.